Hello, welcome to newstreamingnetwork.com, home of Going Bold Media and Going Solo Media, and our wonderful radio station, WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. We want to thank you guys for listening to us here today. We are on the Link to Expert Business Showcase. I am just one of your hosts. I am Cece Shatz, fondly called the Doyenne of Relationship Building. I am the owner of newstreamingnetwork.com and Going Solo Network.com. And then I have my good friend here with me, Joanne Weiland. Joanne, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I love to connect people. Most people call me the connector or the collaborator because I feel like life is all about helping each other. And if you can do it with ease and everybody wins, that's where I feel like, we should all be. But anyway, so whenever you're ready, come to look at Link to Expert Collaborative Cloud Community and see if you'd like to collaborate with the other experts and get extreme exposure. And that's one of the reasons we have this show, so we can expose different experts to the world. So Cece, I always love when we get to do these shows and get to talk to these people and they can give us more insights. So thank you.
Absolutely. And I'm right there on linktoexpert.com. So you guys come and join the experts. It's a lot of fun. You get to meet and get to really know a lot of the other experts. And who knows, you might very well need them in your business. So it's a great community. So just go to linktoexpert.com and you can check it out. Well, let's move on to our guest today because we have an exciting show for you guys today. One lady I'm very, very fond of, and I'm going to let you, Joanne, go ahead and do the introductions.
Well, I met Yvonne recently, and Yvonne McCoy is actually an affiliate of one of our other affiliates. So it shows the power of collaboration that Lisa Reed actually introduced me to Yvonne. And once I talked to her, I was like, oh my God, we got to get to know each other better and do more things together. So this is our first thing that we're doing together, but we've been chatting, and this woman is amazing. I mean, seriously, a lot of people don't realize it, but I always feel like you have to go through a lot of the stuff that doesn't work before you know what does work. And I feel like that's where Yvonne can really help you because she has gone through a lot of transitions, but now she can tell you from experience, don't waste your time doing that. And let's get on with getting you out there as the expert, right, Yvonne?
Exactly. So I'm excited to be here. I mean, I've had fun already just coming in from the green room. So I expect we're going to be laughing and really informing people in a fun way.
Yes, I agree. Cece and I love to laugh, and we love to, make this fun because of the fact, really, most of us, it's our livelihood. And when it's your livelihood, you should be having fun because if you're not, you might want to try something else because I really do feel like when you really are doing your purpose, your passion shows, and you can laugh and have fun with each other. So thank you for saying that. That's so true. And we just are so excited because of the fact that you can help so many women, help them discover this because I feel like a lot of people know, but they don't know, or they get caught up in the details. And I know you have these incredible VIP months and they just really make a transformation in others' lives. But I thought maybe we'd start with a little bit of your background just so people have an understanding, of why you even started doing this.
Well, part of the story that I don't usually tell that often is, um, you know, like most people, I kind of did what I was supposed to do. So, I went to school, I got my master's in finance and accounting because I was good at math. But I always really wanted to do marketing. I mean, I love commercials anyway. So at some point, I ended up having a break in my career, and I was working with adult literacy because as a kid, I couldn't read. And I always thought it was really amazing that adults decided to take on this challenge. What I found out was that I was not good at it. I think it triggered me from when I was a kid, and also I couldn't slow my brain down. But one of the things that happened was I every summer I used to go get a whole stack of books so things that I could teach them besides just reading and math. And one of them was 22 strategies that everybody needs, right? And it was
Mhm.
by Thomas Leonard, who was the father of coaching. And I got it for my class. And as I went down the list, I went, oh my God, I need this. Oh my God, I need this. Oh my God, I need this. Right. At the back, it said, if you found this interested, you might be interested in being a coach. And so that's how I started my coaching in the old days when you did it by telephone, you had teleconferences, right? So going fast forward, I had done a whole lot of things and I ended up before the pandemic coaching women executives of nonprofits, which was a lot of fun. And it was also involved team building and, all kinds of things.
Probably
Come
very rewarding too, because you knew that all those women were also helping so many other people. Because that's what our show is all about: getting to everybody to know each other, so and can help each other. So go ahead.
So,
Sorry.
so the big issue for them typically was the same thing that entrepreneurs have is that they're really good at what they do, which is why they went into the nonprofit. But as
Mhm.
leaders, you need to step out of the trenches sometimes so that you can be the leader. And that's the struggle because they didn't want to let go. Right.
Mhm.
So anyway, come COVID, I get hospitalized for something totally different. I'm in the hospital. And when I come out, the world is shut down. It was like watching the sinking of the Titanic. I mean, in less than 7 days, I went from having a business to having no business
Wow.
because they couldn't pay their staff, right? They
Mhm.
couldn't have events or any of those kinds of things. So, I mean, I totally got it. I mean, some of them I kept coaching anyway, to see what I could do to help them get through that. But the bottom line was, I discovered that I did not have a well organized business. I had a junk drawer. I had a collection of over the years of all these things that just piqued my interest that I had just collected and used whenever. And it was like, oh my God, I need to find some clients and I need to do it fast. And going back to one of the things you said, it was like, if I'm going to put this energy and effort into it and build a business again, I want it to be something that I like,
Yes.
right? you know, and so that's how I got started with this. The idea of what have I already got
Mhm.
that I'm really good at, that I don't have to reinvent something else or build something else that I can put into a system so that it works. So that was the beginning of this whole thing. And of course it evolved like anything else. And right now where we are is my favorite places is the F.O.U.N.D framework, because most of my clients anyway, and I think a lot of people are really good at what they do. When they have a client, their client is really happy, especially if it's the right client, because you can give them everything you've got, right? So that's not the issue. The delivery part is not the issue. It's how do I find the right people? How do they find me and connect with me? Which is, Joanne, you talk about connecting people. So that's, part of the issue. And so that is the thing that I work with people with is organizing whatever they have, streamlining, focusing on the thing that they really, and I've never found a way to say this, but they can really make money at while having fun.
Yes.
It's clarity, it's, consistency, and it's cash is what it amounts to, right? And so it's better to do more in one place so that you have a bigger impact than to try to spread yourself out everywhere.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's great. I love that. I love the idea. You just need to be found because, I mean, that's kind of our philosophy here, on the new streaming network is getting the people the exposure so they can be seen, be heard, be known. And Joanne, you're always saying that all the time.
Well,
So,
I think it's so true, though. See, if you can be the most incredible expert, and
mhm.
people don't even know who you are because they never heard of you, they never saw you, and actually, unfortunately, they have to see you multiple times too before they even recognize that they need you. But I also think it even before all of this goes back to a lot of times what I find is experts often whatever's easy for them, they think it's no big deal. They think that is not their expertise. They don't recognize it is what I
Right.
mean by as their expertise because they feel like if it comes easy for me, oh, everybody gets it. And that is really, I feel like a big thing that Yvonne helps them understand their true expertise because of the fact that just because it's easy for them. That's usually what is your purpose in life, but they see it that way. Do you agree, Yvonne?
Absolutely. I think what I do is we all have what I call a heart business, the thing that you would do for nothing because you love
Mhm.
it so much. And then you have your head business, which is the things that you've been trained in, your other expertise and stuff. And what we do is find an overlap so that you can provide those services to the community that you love. Um,
Mhm.
and like you said, and one of the things I like to say to people is it's not your fault, that people can't find you because one, we are taught to, at least in my growing up, sit down, be quiet, don't make a fuss, don't draw attention to yourself, kind of thing. For women, it's be ladylike, don't be bold and
Mhm.
forceful, right? The other thing is we are told that there is a certain way to do something, whether that's right for us or not. And so
Right.
we try to make ourselves fit into that box, and that is not to our benefit at all. And I came up with this weird story, example, if you'll let me share it. This is
Oh,
so
I love it. Yes, please.
last night I was getting some ice cubes for my drink. And I started thinking about the fact that we have a lot of ice in our house. I have an ice machine on the second floor so I can run from my office and get ice and stuff like that, right? We have the ice that's in the refrigerator. And my husband has now gotten some silicone trays so that they make really big cubes to put in his bourbon, right? So I was thinking about that. Oh my God. And I thought, I really think that when you understand the history of things, you have a much better perspective of stuff.
Mhm.
And the through line on this is a lot of times we don't think we're special because we feel like we need to create something new. To be
Yeah.
creative, you don't have to create something new, you just have to make it better. So in
Mhm.
the, I don't know, the whatever hundreds, you had the blocks of ice where the guy went in the wagons with the horses or whatever, you went to some place and you got a block of ice, okay? And
I've
then
heard
somebody,
about that.
huh?
I've heard about that. I'm too young for that.
Right, me too. I've seen it on
Because-
TV, right? So somebody probably said, what if we actually delivered it to people's houses in smaller sizes?
Mm.
And their
Mm.
family probably said, you're crazy. Nobody wants this. But they went ahead and they did it anyway. And suddenly you had ice delivered to your house, right? Then you got, ice in your refrigerator. And I just remember as a kid, the metal trays,
Yes.
the fact that we didn't make a lot. I didn't remember using ice a lot because there was not a lot of room in the refrigerator. I mean, you had one or maybe two trays.
Right?
You had to fill it up, and there was just this. I just don't remember ice a whole lot as a kid. So then somebody said, well, what if we had ice actually come out of the refrigerator automatically? And
Mhm.
somebody else probably said in their family, that's crazy. Who would want to do that? Right. But it was a hit, right? People they didn't know that they needed it. And that's part of what the client's journey is that we work on it. Who are the people that need what you have but don't know they need it, right? And where do you find them? So, okay, fast forward to the craziness of the ice in my house now. I was downstairs and I was getting something and I was like, oh, I'm going to take a big ice cube because it won't melt, it dilute the drink that I'm having, right? And then I was like, I had something else and I was like, oh, I want a different size ice cube. So the person that came up with the silicone trays in all different sizes, their family probably said, this is crazy. Nobody's going to want this, right? So my point is you take something as simple as ice,
Yes. Frozen water.
frozen water, and it becomes, I mean, the evolution of it, and somebody gets an idea. And so I say that to say that you don't have to be the most amazing scientist or deep thinker or whatever. You just have to come up with something that appeals to somebody else,
Yes.
right? And here's the other thing. When we had the metal ice trays, there was kind of a scarcity mentality. Don't use all the ice cubes, because it'll take a long time to freeze and make more, right? So, you know, there are so many people in the world and so many ways to get to them that you don't have to be afraid that there are enough clients for you.
Right.
So you don't need to be fixed. because what your idea will work if you get it in front of the right people in the right way. And so that is the thing that I think is so, and you can be yourself. Being yourself is part of the right people in the right way. I said to somebody the other day, one of the things that's so powerful, I think, about having the right client and knowing who that is. And I don't say ideal client because I was in a $25,000 year-long program. And at the end of that year, I didn't know who my ideal client was. If I had to pick, it would have been Canadian women whose names started with A. I mean, that was the only similarity that I could find. I went on a free phone call with somebody for 30 minutes. And the first thing she said to me was, what situation are they in? And they were all people who were really good at what they did, but needed more clients and wanted to spend more time in the part of their business that they loved and could, and build that so it would support them.
Wow.
Yeah. So it how do people find you? I mean, that is really the thing. How do you stand out? And the things that you've been told not to do are probably the things that will make you stand out and let you be yourself.
Well, that's such a good point, because I do remember as kids too, the kids should be seen and not heard. And, it's amazing how we have to overcome a lot of our old, beliefs that are not really what we believe. I ask myself on a regular basis daily, do I really believe this? Or is this something I've always been told? Or is this something I've learned? And because a lot of times it's not even what we believe, but we've just heard it so many times and we feel like that's what we're supposed to be or do.
Well, I think there are two things. One is we, as we're growing up, our parents gave us a certain set of beliefs to protect us and keep us safe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, you don't do this, you don't get into debt, you don't, whatever those things were. Those beliefs were appropriate for that time. We are no longer
Just like the ice.
we are no longer in that time. The other thing that I think is really amazing is, as experts, the people who do things really well, we were always told it's really important to have credentials and be really experts and to whatever it is. Okay. Information is everywhere now. So you don't need to be chock full of information because it changes so quickly. What your clients need is your help into implementing that information. How do I put this into action to get results? How do I filter all this information that's out there to, get the one, the information that's right for me? And then how do I make it work? If you are not showing your clients how to implement what you have for them, they are not going to get results. They are not going to be delighted by you.
Well, it's true. Like you have your MBA from Wharton School of Business, and that everybody's like, ooh, and I really myself do too. But you're right. I mean, that's only one part of it because of the fact that that helped you. But if you don't have that, you have other strengths and other areas that you can help people with. Because a lot of people do feel like that they're not educated enough or they don't have enough credentials, and they don't realize, but what they went through, nobody else went through.
So, I mean, and that goes back to, I'm not ready. I can't tell you how many women that I talk to and they're like, I'm going to do this after I take another course. I'm going to do this when I learn accounting. I'm going to do this when I get certified. I'm not anti-education at all, but information is changing so fast. Sample stuff, like somebody said to me the other day, and I was like, oh, this is so true. They said, I don't buy a lifetime subscription to any technology for the simple reason that during my lifetime, it's going to change and it's not going to be useful to me. And I went, oh my God, I can't tell you how many lifelong things I've got that I don't use. He goes, I just pay for do it for 2 or 3 months, see if it's still, I just keep paying for it while I'm using it and something else is going to come down the road.
Right.
So you can, you can get certified. When I went to Wharton, they did a case study, and my professor came up to me ever so regretfully and said, "You don't want to go into corporate, do you? You're going to do small business, right? Because you're too concerned with the people."
Mm.
And they did not see the value of human capital at that point. Thank
Oh,
God, thank God that has changed. And I thank God I didn't fit into that mold.
exactly. And we'll talk more about that after the break, because that's really an important topic for us to discuss. So thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I think this is very, very good information. And the reason being is I think a lot of times, as you were talking, what comes to mind is a lot of times individuals, they'll use an excuse not to be able to start something. They get this idea that they want to create a business, they want to do something. But like you said, they keep thinking, well, I've got to get this education, I got to get this certificate, I got to get this, I got to get that. And the reality is it's kind of in their minds, they're just not quite ready yet to take that step to be able to move forward. And I like the idea that you bring it forward and say, listen, sometimes you just got to make that step, got to take that leap, to be able to move forward. So I love that. Well, we're going to talk a lot more about a lot more things when we come back from our little break here. And we want to thank everyone that's listening here to us. I know we've got some thumbs up already, so we want to appreciate all of those out there that are with us here today. You guys, you're listening to Link to Expert Business Showcase. I am Cece Shatz. I have my good friend Joanne Weiland here with me. We have Yvonne McCoy. We're talking about you don't need to be fixed, right? You just need to be found. And, she knows her stuff. She talks to women every day with regards to really moving forward in their business. And so we're going to talk more about that when we come back. And when we come back, we're going to talk about this unique workshop that she's going to be having, and that we would like for you guys to have a little bit more knowledge about that. So we're going to talk about that when we come back. You guys are listening to the new streamingnetwork.com, home of the Going Solo Media and Going Bold Media, and our wonderful radio station, WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. We want to thank you guys for listening to us, and we'll be right back, everyone. Hang tight. Well, welcome back, everyone. You guys are listening to Link to Expert Business Showcase. This is a new streamingnetwork.com, home of Going Solo Media and Going Bold Media, and WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. We are talking with our wonderful guest here today, Yvonne McCoy. She's an MBA woman's business strategist. She's been, called the dynamic, right, women's business strategist, and we are very excited to have her on the show. We're talking about you don't need to be fixed, right? And the first part of the show, we talked a little bit about, those that are starting into business, how they, want to get all the certifications and knowledge and all of that, education, all good. We encourage that wholeheartedly. However, sometimes you need to take that leap, right? You got to make that step, and you just need to be found. And that is what, Yvonne talks about a great deal. She leads people into that each and every day. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So if you missed the first part of the show, rewind it, go back, listen to it, because it's a wealth of information you do not want to miss out on. So Yvonne, talk to us a little bit more about, as we're wanting to move forward in business, right? And we're, let's say we set up our shop, right? We got things going, we got our business kind of cooking, doing some things. What would you say is like the next step they would need to do to start getting out there and being found?
Well, I think consistency is really important, because there's so much information in the world. People can't necessarily get your message by just hearing it once, which means that I don't call it a pitch. I call it an introduction. You're introducing yourself to people. What does your introduction say to you? If you say, I do this, 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 because you want to capture everybody under the sun, you will capture nobody. And so in my VIP month that I do, the intensive month that I do, the first thing we do is we work on your introduction and make sure that it actually attracts the people that you want to get. And sometimes it's just changing a word or two so that it speaks to the kind of clients that you want. And so one of the things that I like to do is in corporate, I found that I had lots of training, but I couldn't always find it when I needed it. So I come up with lots of models because I believe if you can't remember it, you can't use it. So one of the models that I share in the workshop is make your learning last. So you learn something, you apply it, you share it. And one of the reasons you share it is because when you speak it and try to explain it to somebody else, you get to see if you really do understand it, right? But not only that, it tends to it increases your expertise at you as an expert because you're being generous and you're sharing what you've learned with other people. And then the piece that typically is missing, and so I'm going to say to everybody who's listening to this, you need to write down if you found something interesting that you went, aha, I got to remember this or I have to use this, write down the situation or the time that you would actually use it. So that when that happens, you go, oh, I remember I have this thing. Because if you don't, you will just do what you've always done. I mean, it's just human nature.
Right.
So that's the first thing. So when I work with people, the first thing we do is we take a look at what they've got. We take a look at which of those things actually speaks to the client that they're trying to get. Well, actually, that's not true. The first thing I do with them is a money map. Because I mean, people say they understand that they have to make a living because they're in business, but when you do the numbers with them, and your big thing is a $37 whatever, because you're afraid of asking $197 whatever, and you say, well, how many people do you need to be able to, how much money do you want to make? And they go 100,000, 150, 250. At $197, how many clients do you need? And the light switch goes, oh my God, I haven't got that many hours in the day, right? So that's the first thing we do. The second thing we do is we take a look at their introduction. And after our first meeting, I send you off to go networking and try it out and see what lands and see if people go, aha. My slogan, you don't need to be fixed, you just need to be found. I discovered in a networking breakout room. I mean, I was just riffing and it came out and everybody went, excuse me. And I was like, that's it in a capsule, right? And so then we take a look at organizing your business so that we can use what you have, so that you don't have to go back into creation mode, and see if what you're talking about, what you're delivering is what you talk about to attract people. Because that's and I have to tell you, I am as guilty of this as anybody. I put together with loving care this amazing workshop and program, and at the end was an offer for this program. And I went to a class and the person said, all right, we're going to start with what your offer is. And I went, oh my God, that's what's wrong with this. The offer has nothing to do with the workshop. I mean, it sounds like common sense, but it's like when you know that, you can talk about it when you're talking different bits and pieces. So people are like, oh, that's interesting. So when you make the offer, it makes perfect sense, right? So we do that. And the idea is to get out there. What have you got that you can offer people? What have you got what kind of resources can you give them that are free when you're networking? And that doesn't always have to be a resource from you. Yes, you should have a lead generator, right? But you should also have other information like who can you connect them with? Oh, I know somebody that you might be interested in. I know of another networking group that you definitely need to drop in on. That makes you the expert that is sharing what they have.
Right.
And every time you do that and you talk about your business, you get more comfortable and you start to tweak what you're saying. And I think the thing that people don't realize is when you realize who your right client is, you get to say no to the people who are not your right client, or no, not yet. And that is so empowering. I mean, because here's the thing. We all go through what I call entrepreneurial prostitution. I can do it if the price is right. Because when we start, we have a cash flow problem, right?
Mhm.
And so we take on anything. But unfortunately, that client will never be the person that you delight. You will spend more money, more time trying to make them happy, right?
Mhm.
Than somebody who loves what you do and who comes to you and says, I need you, right? They're like a sponge. I mean, they will listen to everything that you've got, and it's just a joy. I mean, it's like it's so different. And so that's why it's so important to find the people. And I know one of the things that I struggled with for such a very long time was comparing myself to other people. That is
Mhm.
the kiss of death, because you're like a fingerprint. You're not like anybody else in the world. And you don't have to do anything to make that happen. You were just born that way. Right? So you just have to discover it. You don't have to manufacture it.
Yeah.
You
I,
don't have
I agree with that. I think you're so right, because I think each individual is very unique, right? And people are going to resonate either with you or not with you, or with someone else, or whatever. So I've heard that in my field many times. Of being a divorce dating a life coach, and then also now here in the media, and I'm thinking, like, I never worry about that, because there's always there's so many clients, there's so many other people, out there that are doing maybe even, I don't know, the same as me, maybe not, but I feel like we have all our own uniqueness that people will gravitate to us, whether they do, or they don't. So yes, I love that. I love the idea that you're not in competition with somebody else, not at all. You're standing in your own uniqueness, and I love that.
So I would just like to make sure that I put this in here, because the be found
Mhm.
is be yourself so you can explode your business. The F is focus on what you are,
Mhm.
right? Because that will have an impact on everything else you do. And then I'm going to jump to the D, because I want to make sure I hit this before we run out of time. And the D is one of my favorites. It's delight, deliver, and delight. People are not going to want to work with you unless you delight them.
Mhm.
If they don't get something from you and go, ooh, this is interesting, or I never thought about that, or ooh, I used to do that, but I don't anymore. Delight comes in a lot of different ways. It doesn't mean they jump up and down like a maniac. It can just be yeah, that's a good thing, but so you have to delight them to draw them into you, and part of that delight is you see me, you know what I've been through. I mean, I said to somebody the other day, we were talking, and I said, you and I are of a certain age. And when we were brought up, our parents went through the Great Depression. And so the idea of having debt was like deadly. But there's a difference between debt and investing in your business. If you
Right.
invest in your business, you can make money to pay off your debt.
Mhm.
And she was like, I never thought about it that way. And she signed up. So you need to delight them, and then you can deliver. And while you're working with them, you need to continue to delight them. And that, again, is not always necessarily information. I found a book that I really liked, and I sent it out to all my clients. And didn't tell them it was coming, and they got a package in the mail, and it was like, what is this, right? And they were all like, oh, I got the package today. So you want them to keep enjoying working with them in the style that's right for you. I mean, sometimes I send toys, like when people, like during COVID, when people were really stressed out, I found this really interesting stress thing that I sent to every, because that's my goofy sense of humor. But so I wanted to make sure that I included that, and the other steps are really useful too. But I think the biggest thing I want you to take away is be yourself and focus on the part that makes you unique, because that's what's going to attract the right clients to you.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
love the way you use acronyms. I mean, some of our conversations, you shared so much wisdom with me, and in acronyms so you can remember them. So thank
I
you
do
for
that
that.
for my clients too. I help them come up. Everybody says I don't have a process, but everybody does, right? And what it does is it makes it easier for you to introduce yourself. Because I can say, I work with my clients and I have the F.O.U.N.D framework, and anybody who's interested will say, "Oh, tell me more about that," right? I just, and here's the part that I'll say to you. Now that we have ChatGPT, it's a lot easier to do some of these things.
Oh, that's true. Very true. Well, before we run out of time, let's make sure we talk about this workshop you have, because I think it's quite unique and we want to be able to share it with everyone. So I'm going to put up the website here. You just go to Yvonne McCoy, that's YVONNE, and then McCoy, MCCOY.com, and then workshop. And if you let them know that you saw it or heard about it here on our network, that she will let us know that we are actually making a difference. So we want that to know. But and we are also an affiliate with Yvonne. So just want you guys to know that too. But also this workshop is very unique. So let's talk a little bit about it.
This workshop is interactive. I want you to be on camera. I want you to participate, because I want you to learn something that you learn, that you apply, that you share, that you trigger right in the workshop. And so one of the things we do is we talk about why you have some of the challenges and stuff that you have, and it's not your fault. And then we talk about the ways that you can take what you have and to focus, and why when you are yourself, people will pay you more, which is a great thing. So you leave with a lot of information, and then you get to have 30 minutes with me if you choose, where we will clarify your unique power. We will look at the gaps in your client attraction process, and we will see where you're leaving money on the table, because you didn't know that your unique power was so profitable. And so you get a lot out of it, and it's fun, and you meet other people too.
Absolutely. Now, is this online? Is this
It's on Zoom.
It's on Zoom.
So it is the third Wednesday of the month. And so I don't know when this is coming out, but in April it's the 16th, and in May it'll be the third Wednesday of the month.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, so this way everyone can. It doesn't matter where you live, guys. Guys and gals, you can definitely take advantage of this workshop. So want to do that. Also, want to make sure you guys have any questions. You can contact Yvonne at coaching@YvonneMcCoy.com. So again, it's coaching and it's YVONNE McCoy, MCCOY.com. And then our website again is YvonneMcCoy.com. So make sure you guys reach out to her. I didn't have anything like this when I started my business. I didn't even actually think I even had a business. I just kind of like went through, and then my friends started saying, "You could make money doing this. Why aren't you making some money doing this?" And so so I started this way, and I just think that if I had someone like you, Yvonne, to kind of lead me a little bit, help me along, and I didn't bump my head against the wall so many times, I think it would have been a little bit more helpful to be able to get out there and really make myself be found, because I struggle with that, which is why I started doing all the marketing and started the new streaming business. So yeah.
I think the other thing, particularly for women, is asking for help is not a weakness, it's a strength. And it is really hard. We think, I should be able to do this. I should be able to figure this out. And, if if you keep doing what you're doing and you're doing it with the same information you always have, you're going to end up with the same thing. And I heard this academic from Harvard give this great explanation about something, and he ended. He goes, basically, what I'm saying to you is you need somebody to tell you you have spinach in your teeth. And I was like, yes.
It's so true, because we don't see it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love the idea that you focus on the individual's uniqueness, because I truly think that, I mean, I'll just share real quickly, I know we got to get off, is that, when I started realizing I had a business, I started thinking, okay, I need to get some coaching, I need to get some things put in place that I'm not familiar with, right? And so I talked to a couple people, and one gentleman was wonderful, a very super wonderful man. But every time we sat down together to do the coaching, he kept bringing up like McDonald's and all these big, huge corporations and all this kind of stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like a little fish in the sea here. I'm just like, I'm a unique, what I'm doing is very unique, something very different. No one's ever heard of it before, because it just kind of paved the way. And I couldn't relate to him, and he certainly wasn't relating to me. And what I liked about you, Yvonne, and what you're doing and the workshop that you're creating is that you are focusing on that person's individually, their uniqueness and their business, how unique that business is, and then learning how then to take it and grow. So I really do think, ladies, if you're out there, if you've got a business that you truly have a passion on and you want to grow it, I really do think that maybe this workshop might be the answer for you.
Yes, I agree totally. You're absolutely right, Cece. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we fumble and do all kinds of different things. We spend money in many, many different ways, and we don't succeed. So hey, let's give it a shot. Let's move forward.
25,000 versus free.
True. Yeah, true. No brainer on that one. So anyhow, well, we're going to have to go. But again, let me make sure that we share all of the information. Again, the workshop, if you're interested in checking it out, just go to YvonneMcCoy.com workshop. That's YVONNE McCoy, MCCOY.com workshop. Now, if you're listening to this and you think it's some time down the road, don't sweat it. If you think you might have missed this workshop, she has other things that are coming up on the horizon. So don't worry about it. Just go to the website, check it out, see what she's got there, and maybe she'd be able to help you. Or shoot her an email at coaching@YvonneMcCoy.com. So don't worry about whenever you're listening to this, reach out, find out what she's got going on, and then maybe possibly you can take advantage of that, because we would love for you to be able to do that. And don't think that for any reason that you can't. So Joanne, is there any last words you want to say?
Well, I do believe what you both said, and I really do feel like you are ready for Yvonne, because of the fact that I was one of those people that always thought I had to read another book, I had to take another course, I had to do this and that, and I mean, I know in a few years I went through 12 coaches, and I'm not knocking that, but I just kept thinking I had to know everything. And really, you just have to know you, and Yvonne helps you know you and how you, being you, can be successful, instead of thinking you have to know what everybody else does to do what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to have to run. Yvonne, thank you so much for being with us here today. We so appreciate you.
Thanks for connecting with me. You guys have, I mean, that's it. We don't build our business alone.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and just a quickie, we forgot to mention, you have your own podcast. Do you want to mention that real quick?
Sure. The name of my podcast is The One Small Change. It's about how a small change in your life can make a huge change in your business and your personal life.
That's great. And I know I'm going to be on it. Joanne, you're going to be on it. So we're looking forward to, being on your podcast. We want to thank you for opening that door for us. We appreciate it. So everyone, you're listening to Link to Expert Business Showcase. We are so pleased to be with you here today. Again, you're on the newstreamingnetwork.com, which really brings together the Going Solo media, which is where our singles listen to all wonderful shows. And then also all of our inspirational individuals who like to learn something new, be inspired, and really move forward in their lives. They listen to Going Going Bold Media. We connected them all together under the new streaming network.com, which hosts our WGSN-DB Going Solo Network radio station. So we want to thank you guys for listening to us, connecting up with us right here on the internet each and every week, and all of the various different shows we have on the new streaming network. We want to thank you for that. So I am Cece Shatz. I have my good friend Joanne Weiland with me, and we're going to sign off until the next time. We can't wait to see you again. So talk to you later. Bye for now.
Bye.